Okay, let's give you guys some more practice. So similar to the previous video, but this time instead of sine of x, it's cosine of x. Okay, so given a function f of x equals cosine of x, is this function here even, or is it odd, or neither? So start out by roughly sketching your cosine graph. So your cosine graph will look something like this. So this here is 360. Okay, 360 here. Well, this here is 180. So this is 270. This here is 90. This here is 0. So roughly sketch your function here, and then somehow somehow establish if it's an odd function or an even function, or neither. Okay, so press pause and have a go. Okay, so let's start out by sketching our graph here. So it will look something like this. So this here is 360. Okay, this here is 180. Now, so this, to check if it's an even function, you are really making you got to make a reflection along the y-axis. So when you make a reflection, looking at this line here, okay, when you reflect it, it will look like this. Okay, don't forget, if we were to draw our cosine graph here, it would look like this. It would look like this. One period here, and then another period here, and then in the negative direction, this is another period here. It will look something like this. Our normal cosine of x. But now we are reflecting it to see if we are now reflecting it. So we are reflecting it to see if the reflection here is the same as the original. So let's reflect it. So looking at this curve here, when you reflect it along the y-axis here, it will look like this. Okay. Now looking at this lump here, so when you reflect it, don't forget this distance will be the same as this distance. So when you reflect it, it will look something like this. Okay, and this distance here is the same as this distance here when you reflect it. And then looking at this half lump here, it will look like this. So you can see that this itself is our cosine our cosine of x function. So we know that this here is an even, well, is an even function. Now, if it's an even function, it cannot be an odd function unless it's that silly function here. The only time when it can be both an even function and an odd function is when you have a function like this. But in our case, our function is like this. So when you reflect it along here, when you reflect this, it will basically it would be when you reflect it, it will look the same as the original function. So therefore, it's an even function. And the other thing is, you can actually put this into this x here. So it boils down to well, when you put the minus x into this x here, it boils down to cosine of minus x. Is this the same as the original function? The original function here is cosine of x. So when you apply, well, another way of checking if it's an even function is to put the negative x into this x here. So it becomes this here. The question is this the same as this? And it's hard to tell by just looking at this. So draw your rough sketch of the function here. So cosine will look something like this. So this is 360. This here is 180. This here is 90, not to scale. Okay. This here is 270. Now let's look at it when it's let's extend this. So it's like this. So this is negative 360. This is negative 270. This here is 90. Negative 90. This here is negative 180. So let's look at a point when it's so looking at this here, the positive side. So when we look at cosine of 180, cosine of 180, that's that's negative 1. Okay, but then when we come to look at cosine of negative 180, that's that's pretty much the same. Look at this here. It's this point. Well, looking at this, looking at cosine of 180. Cosine of 180 is negative 1, and that's the same as well. This is still negative 1. So these two, so far, we can speculate that these two are the same because look, this here is negative 1, and this here is also negative 1. Let's look at 90. So when you do cosine of 90, cosine of 90 is here, and now let's do cosine of negative 90. Cosine of negative 90 is, it seems like this is the same as this here. So we can say that cosine of 90 is the same as cosine of negative 90. Let's look at 360. 360 is here. 360 is here. So when you do cosine of 360, that will give you this bit here. Now cosine of negative 360, that will give you this point here. That will give you this point here. You see, this point here is the same as this point here, because look, this is 1 here and also 1 here. So we can speculate that, well, cosine 360 is the same as cosine of negative 360. So look at this. So far we've got cosine, let's say cosine 90, that's the same as cosine negative 90. And then if you have cosine 180, cosine 180, that's the same as cosine negative 180. Well, if you continue this all day long, this here, cosine here, is the same as cosine of 360. Maybe, just maybe, cosine x here could be the same as cosine negative x. So use, when you don't understand something, maybe you can draw a picture and try and use a bit of reasoning to get to your destination, which is this here. Okay, so yeah, cosine of minus x is pretty much the same as cosine of x. But the overall answer is yes. This function here is an even function. Okay.